Oh my God, Anita.
Hello, welcome to another edition of the Willy Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willy Bragg, and I want to discuss the infamous Biden speech from the other day, where Republicans are triggered by Biden's supposed allegations of semi-fascism. I am no fan of Joe Biden. And if you watch the show long enough, you know I'm not any fan of Joe Biden. If you watch the show long enough, you know I'm not a MAGA either. I don't support Donald Trump. I don't support either. I don't support the Democrats as a general rule, and I definitely don't support the Republicans. But I just think there's a lot of selective outrage that goes on. And so, anyway, I'm going to play this from Fox News. They're being triggered in the most silly way you can imagine, and I'm going to call out their bullshit. And on a couple other areas, I'm going to be calling out the bullshit as well. So give me a moment here, and we'll get started. Okay, give me a moment here, and hold on. Okay, here we go. And we will get started. Let me get that screen set up right. Okay, and find that rectangle thing. There we go. Here we go.
I certainly don't incite violence.
Knock the crap out of them. Like to punch him in the face.
I don't condone violence, and I don't talk about violence.
I would have done well, but I would have been boom, boom, boom. Beat that. I don't know if I'll do the fighting myself or if other people will.
Maybe he should have been roughed up because it was absolutely disgusting what he was doing.
If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. In the good old days, this doesn't happen because they used to treat them very, very rough. And when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. We become weak. We become weak. And you know what? The audience swung back. And I thought it was very, very appropriate. The audience hit back. And that's what we need a little bit more of. Now, part of the problem and part of the reason it takes so long is nobody wants to hurt each other anymore, right? I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been out there fighting, folks. I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been boom, 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 I'll beat them.
Do you plan on paying for the legal fees of this older gentleman in North Carolina who sucker punched the protester?
From what I understand, he was sticking a certain finger up in the air. And that is a terrible thing to do in front of somebody that, frankly, wants to see America made great again.
It's possible you could help him with legal fees if this man needs it.
I've actually instructed my people to look into it, yes.
Sticking your middle finger in the air should never be a reason to sucker punch somebody in the face, Donald Trump. Really. No. And this is an example of why Joe Biden was talking about violence. This is before Donald Trump became president. And you know, I'm not going to go play footages from January 6th, but we know how that turned out. And if the term fascism is too hyperbolic, you're like, oh, you're just calling people fascists for no reason. There's a lot of progressives, people on the left, you know, that sits there and they sit there and obsess over Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson says things that are horrific. Don't get it twisted. But what people need to realize, there are people out there that are worse than Tucker Carlson. And I want you to listen to this conversation. His name is Jesse Kelly, and he's much worse than Tucker Carlson. Listen to this conversation. And when they play this video, they focus on Tucker Carlson. But Tucker Carlson is not the only person in this discussion. They didn't really discuss the person who brought up the subject of fascism favorably. Listen to the person who brings it up.
Jesse, thanks so much for coming on. How do you think it would work if you lied on a federal gun form?
I think I wouldn't be on your show right now unless they were allowing me to do it from Fort Leavenworth somewhere. We both know how this works, Tucker. It's just item number 1,000 in proving to people that there are two different sets of rules in this country. There are rules for powerful Democrats, and there are rules for people like you and I. This is what they do, and people are sick of it. It's making people feel hopeless. It feels like there is no justice out there. It feels as useless as going to a feminist rally and trying to find a woman who can cook.
I think you make a really solid point about the sadness and the powerlessness that people feel in the face of this. And at some point, people are going to say, why should I follow the rules? Why should I be a good citizen if they don't have to follow the rules? I mean, things kind of break down at some point, don't they?
Well, they will break down. They are breaking down, Tucker. I've said this before, and I'm telling you, I'm worried that I'm right. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to be the only ones on the outs. There's 60, 70 million of us. We're not a tiny minority.
I want you to hear that again. I want you to hear that again. That's Jesse Kelly. I want you to hear Jesse Kelly again.
Within 10 to 20 years, because they're not going to be the fascists within 10 to 20 years. That I'm right. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because I'm worried that I'm right. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to. I'm worried that I'm right. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to be the only one. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to be the only one. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to be the only one.
One more time.
Worried that I'm right. The right is going to pick a fascist within 10 to 20 years because they're not going to be the only ones on the outs. There's 60, 70 million of us. We're not a tiny minority. And if we're going to be all treated like criminals and all subject to every single law while Antifa Black Lives Matter guys go free and Hunter Biden goes free, then the right's going to take drastic measures. And it's not about Hunter Biden and his drug use. Nobody cares that guy was bumping booger sugar lines off European hookers on the weekend. It's about justice. injustice that he's never held accountable for. None of the Bidens are, but you would be, Tucker, and so would I.
No. Yeah, they're powerful people too, and they get away with powerful right-wing people get away with a whole lot of shit too, because they're powerful. Powerful people from both parties get away with things. They try to act like they're just regular Joe Blows, regular Joe Q, public types. Bullshit on that one. Really, bullshit on that one. And you heard Jesse Kelly talking about fascism. They believe in this shit. They believe in fascism. They don't believe in. He also he actually said he wants to return to McCarthyism, and he calls all his political opponents. It doesn't matter if they're on the so-called far left. He thinks that anybody that has a D beside their name, any Democrat, is a communist. He calls everybody that disagrees with him communists. I'm talking about Jesse Kelly. Fuck Jesse Kelly. Fuck you, Jesse Kelly. So yeah, I'll say it, and I'll say it to your face. Fuck you. So anyway, that motherfucker, you know. But anyway, Joe Biden came up with a speech, and they acted like it was the most divisive speech ever, and they never engage in character assassination. They never do mean things or anything like that. They're just so nice, aren't they, huh? Yeah, they're so nice. They never do anything mean, and it's just those mean old libtards, right? You know, my goodness. Anyway, we're gonna play you this thing, their reaction from Fox, and I will comment from time to time, and I'll try to make this quick. So hold tight here. Okay, let me get this ready for you, and let me go ahead and put it on. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on this speed here, and there we go. We'll get started right now.
In the meantime, President Biden drawing severe criticism today. He kicked off his midterm push at a DNC event in Maryland yesterday, back from vacation. It was billed as a unity rally. Interesting name, because he decided to attack half of the country.
I respect conservative.
No, he did not attack half of the country. He did not attack half of the country. Damn it, Fox News, you got me defending Joe Biden. Damn it, I hate Joe Biden. Don't stop making me defend this man. But he did not attack half the country. He did not attack half the country. He didn't even attack all people who are like gung-ho about Donald Trump. He attacked a small, fanatical core group of Donald Trump supporters that drink the Kool-Aid of Donald Trump a little bit too seriously. He didn't attack even all Donald Trump supporters. Way to go around to try to exaggerate shit.
Conservative Republicans. I don't respect these MAGA Republicans. The MAGA Republicans don't just threaten our personal rights and economic security. They're a threat to our very democracy. They refuse to accept the will of the people. MAGA Republicans don't have a clue about the power of women. Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans have made their choice to go backwards, full of anger, violence, hate, and division. But we've chosen a different path. Forward.
So that's.
Well, I'm going to say that there's various factions of MAGAs out there, and honestly, I mean, you got people who are pretty centrist that likes Donald Trump because he's an entertainer and he can be funny, and they feel like he speaks on their behalf, and they're not particularly right-wing, and they're not necessarily racist and all these reactionary stereotypes out there, and they like him because he makes them feel good. Some people they just like the guy. Then you got people who are alt-right or just militia types who wants to do Turner Diaries level harm. I don't think that's Donald Trump himself per se, but there are some fanatical supporters that go down to that level. Your Timothy McVeigh wannabes. They're in that mega extreme small little faction. The kind of people that were like the most violent faction, the people that were involved with January 6th, the ones who wanted to go and hang Mike Pence and find Nancy Pelosi. So God knows what they wanted to do to her. Don't like Mike Pence. Don't like Nancy Pelosi. Don't want any harm done to either one of them, but I don't like them. So, but anyway, that is my point. I will let continue and listen to what these morons got to say about that.
That's the great uniter, and he indeed has chosen a very different path from January 20th of 2021. Joe Concha, listen to how he sounded then.
All right. History, faith, and reason show the way of unity. We can see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. We can treat each other with dignity and respect. We can join forces, stop the shouting, and lower the temperature. For without unity, there is no peace, only bitterness and fury.
Very united right now.
I'm feeling it. Are you?
I am.
This Friday? Look, this is Joe Biden's deplorable moment. Actually, that's singular. He's had moments before. We've seen this movie before, right? When during the voting rights push, saying that if you don't support this federalizing voting rights, what we want, then you're Bull Connor, right? Then you're Jefferson Davis. And
well, the gerrymandering is the sign, really. I mean, okay. There are two kinds of Republicans that want to gerrymander in their favor, and it has a racial theme. There are Republicans who are not racist that will do the gerrymandering along racial lines because they want Republicans to get elected. They may not hate black people, but they want Republicans to get elected. And when they gerrymandered, and for those that do it for that reason, it is benign in their case. But there's a lot of folks on the Republican side, especially down here in the South, that will gerrymander the hell out of a district, especially when you have Republican governors and Republican legislatures that will gerrymander the hell out of the districts, because they're going to make damn sure that they're going to keep the minorities as disenfranchised and as weak a state as possible because they have contempt for these people. And that's what it comes down to. Yes, for many of them, especially down here in the South, Republicans down here in the South, for many of them, it is racist. And as I said many, many times, I think it's very, very funny that the Jim Crow Democratic portion of the country in the United States at one time now is solidly Republican. And a lot of the Republican areas of the country for many, many years are now very, very blue. Interesting. Very interesting.
we even saw it in Florida just yesterday with Charlie Crist. Again, the strategy appears to be, let's insult people that we may need to vote for us if we want to stay in power.
And y'all never insult people. Y'all keep it classy. Y'all keep it classy. You never insult people. Really? That's all you motherfuckers ever do is insult people. You make fun of people's looks. I'm not trying to objectify women, but y'all claim that only liberal women are ugly and all Republican women are hot and beautiful and sexy. And then you do it that sort of way. And where ideologically speaking, there's nothing about your ideology that's going to predetermine how attractive or how ugly one is. I mean, y'all engage in that sort of hitting below the belt sort of thing. Oh, I mean, sure, the other side does it. Yeah, they do insult too. But don't act like you're above the fray. You don't do it. Fuck y'all. Fuck y'all with your hypocrisy.
he even talked about what? The battlefield of love? I mean, isn't that a duet with Taylor Swift and Richard Marx? I mean, points like this, right? So, look, Joe Biden ran on unifying the country, as you said, and he appears to have zero interest in doing that.
George W. Bush campaigned on being a uniter, too. And he was anything but a uniter. He did everything. He claimed to be a compassionate conservative. I remember that shit back then. And he did everything he could to suck up to the Republican right and lick the asshole of the religious right and the neocons and get us into a Middle Eastern war and wage culture war in the year 2002 and 2004. And it was beautiful in 2006. Not that I'm a Democrat. It was beautiful in 2006 when the Democrats did take over both houses. Not because the Democrats were awesome, but it did crush the spirit of the George W. Bush Republican movement. A movement that I would say is probably worse than MAGA movement. Because it was George W. Bush and Dick Cheney that was the reason why we ended up with a Donald Trump. I will continue.
Based on his own rhetoric.
That's right. So he does this unity rally. Tommy, he then goes to a private fundraiser with Democrats, and as typical, the comments always leak out. Here were his comments. What we're seeing now is either the beginning or the death knell of an extreme MAGA philosophy. It's not just Trump, it's the entire philosophy that underpins it. I'm going to say something. It's like semi-fascism.
Well, what the fuck it is if it isn't semi-fascism? I mean, really, I don't feel like these people who are in the extreme ultra-right of MAGA movement, they are not arguing for freedom. Jesse Kelly, that I was playing earlier, was sitting there talking with Tucker Carlson, making a case for fascism. He said that he was favoring fascism. He said it himself. And many people who are fascists do vote Republican. And, you know, if you're looking for a mainstream party in the United States today that with fascist inclinations, the Republican Party is the home. I'm not saying that everybody in the Republican Party is fascist. I'm not saying that. I make a distinction between elected Republicans and your next door neighbor Republican, or your coworker Republican, or or even somebody who will be a friend Republican, because that exists too, and they vote Republican basically because they are conned into thinking, not that they're stupid, but they're conned into thinking, well, the Republican Party said they're for freedom, and so I guess I'm going to have to go vote Republican. Because they'll give you the whole song and dance about liberty this and liberty that, and they go and scream it as loud as they can, how much they love liberty and freedom. But when you go and read between the lines, there is nothing but hyper authoritarianism behind a lot of the policies being pushed by Republicans. Oh, yeah. The only thing they're for the freedom of evangelical Christians to go and cram religion down people's throats. They're for the freedom of people who are anti-gay to sit there and take away the rights of people, of same-sex couples from being married, or take away the rights of women for having equality. Or you have Marjorie Taylor Greene coming up with legislation to claiming she wants to protect children from the so-called transgender ideology, when part of that legislation is to basically, she doesn't believe in universal health care, a government involvement with health care, but she wants the government to order the private insurance company to deny coverage in private health insurance for adults in in transition toward the gender that they are wanting to be. So there is no liberty or freedom among these damn semi-fascists who claim to be for freedom. And it just makes me angry. It makes me angry For the last 30-some years, I have to hear it every day how much they love freedom, and they prove that they're not, and people for some reason believe it.
So he's calling half the country now fascist.
He did not call half the country fascist. He called a tiny portion, a tiny fanatical portion of the Donald Trump movement fascist. He didn't even say that people. He didn't even say that all people who sent for Donald Trump were fascists. He was calling on people who are like the most fanatical folks that are wanting to go and engage in violence. And there's a whole lot of right wingers on TikTok out there, the people who make the motherfuckers from Duck Dynasty look like cosmopolitan wine drinking culture types that they're out there talking about when they want to go and bring on the second Civil War. So I mean, that's what's going on right there. I'll let them continue.
This is certainly his basket of deplorables moment. We saw how well that worked out for Hillary Clinton, but this is what they need to do.
I hate Hillary Clinton too. I hate Joe Biden. I hate Hillary Clinton. But you know what? She was right about those basket of deplorables. She was right in 1998 when she talked about the vast right-wing conspiracy trying to bring her husband's presidency down. In a way, I kind of wish that vast right-wing conspiracy would have worked in 1998. We wouldn't have to deal with the Clintons, and if we wouldn't have to deal with the Clintons, we wouldn't have to deal with George W. Bush, and we may have never had to deal with Donald Trump. So, but that's something else right there. Oh, this blonde bitch. Gosh, I can't stand her. Okay, let's go on.
To do this is actually a strategy. I don't think this is just them saying things that they feel in their heart of hearts, even though I'm sure he probably does. I think this is a strategy. He knows that his administration has been lackluster. He knows that nobody is excited to go out and vote for Democrats or vote for Joe Biden because, quite frankly, who has excitement for that? Nobody really does. Where the excitement in the Democrat Party lies is with the radicals, the radical leftists. So that's why he has to use...
What fucking radical leftists? You bimbo. What fucking radical leftists? Tommy Lauren, the only thing you're good for on Fox is for a bunch of loser right-wingers to go and whack off their tiny little penis at the sight of you. And the only function you should serve is for them to splash their little cum on your face. That's the only purpose you should ever serve for them. Shut the fuck up.
Use these terms like ultra mega, but it's going to work against him because those ultra megas, yeah, they're pretty upset about the FBI raid. They're pretty excited about Donald Trump 2020.
You loved the FBI historically when they were going after communists and they were going after anybody that you thought were horrible on the left. But when they come after Donald Trump, oh my God, oh no, you can't touch him. Can't do that. Oh no, you can't do that.
24, and they're pretty excited to go out and vote in November and show the country you can call us whatever you want, ultra megas, rednecks, Republicans, it doesn't matter because we're going to vote and we're going to show you what it feels like when the ultra megas come back, and they're coming back in force.
Speaking of an ultra MAGA, we do have a montage of that. Take an espresso shot every time you hear ultra MAGA. You'll be bouncing off the walls after this one.
Let me tell you about this ultra MAGA agenda. It's extreme, as most MAGA things are. I never expected the ultra MAGA Republicans who seem to control the Republican Party now to have been able to control the Republican Party.
It started with Ronald Reagan, and Ronald Reagan shifted the party further and further and further to the right, to the point where someone like Ronald Reagan today would be a Democrat. That's the Overton window. Of course, the Democrats didn't exactly help make it happen because, help matters because the Democratic Leadership Council became a thing, and the Democratic Leadership Council Reaganized the Democratic Party. So actually, if Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan were alive today, they probably would have voted for Joe Biden in 2020. I can almost guarantee you that.
I never anticipated that happening. It's not your father's Republican Party.
And the ultra MAGA, Jen Psaki said that he came up with that himself. And we learned from Washington Post, Jackie, it was a 6-month research project that coming up with that term.
It's insulting. And to say the agenda is extreme, ultra MAGA voters, those are half the voters, Kaylee. Does anybody else?
It's not half the voters. It's a tiny portion of extreme nutcases that are willing to commit violence. Now, I'm a civil libertarian, and I don't believe in using the FBI to go hunting down anybody who's center right, or even somebody who's a little bit loud, sounding like Alex Jones. That might be your next door neighbor. But at the same time, call a spade. They're extreme. And some of these motherfuckers want to commit violence. Some of these people want to do a Turner Diaries. Some of these people want to do a Oklahoma City bombing type thing. I mean, it's in their rhetoric. I've seen enough of their rhetoric over the years. And anyway.
Anybody else recall that the election was not won by a landslide, that there were razor-thin margins in key swing states, and these are voters that he may need on his side if he wants to win or run again and win, or try to put another candidate up there. It's amazing. The man has spent $4 trillion of taxpayer money. Ultra MAGA money is included in there, by the way, and he's trying to insult people in this sort of very sandbox approach, right?
Oh, you're going to go and talk about spending when we are $30 trillion plus in debt? And you know where most of that $30 trillion come from? People will tell you, well, Obama was the one that got us in debt. No. I said Obama was the one that got us in debt, and there was no debt prior to Obama. We were always in debt, but a lot of that debt came from paying for a war based on lies by George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. The war that killed over 1 million people needlessly because of a lie by our dear leader George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, those motherfuckers, and the neocons and the religious right, who were the spiritual advisor to the neocons because they support the wars in the Middle East because of their fundamentalism, and that's what's cost the $30 trillion in debt that we are in right now. As much as I hated Bill Clinton, we were kind of on our way to paying off the national debt. We probably wouldn't have, but we were actually getting some semblance of spending under control. He's still shitty because he got rid of Glass-Steagall. Fuck Bill Clinton for that. But anyway.
If I don't like you, I'm going to throw sand in your face. People are insulted by it. It makes them angry. It makes them want to get out and vote. And to the previous comment, a lot of those MAGA voters are women, too. People that don't like Joe Biden, that don't stand for crime in this country.
A lot of the women. What, now you're going to play identity politics? Y'all be the first one to be calling the mainstream media and mainstream Democrats and people on the actual left if they bring up women or some other disenfranchised group. But I guess it's okay when you do it. Fuck y'all.
Country that don't stand for this reckless spending. And you want to talk about extremism, the Republicans might say we want a little bit less government, we want less spending, leave us alone.
They don't want small government. They want to decide who gets married. They want to put people in jail for burning the flag. They want to go and execute drug dealers. They want to go and keep marijuana illegal. They want to keep the drug war going. They're okay with torture. They're okay with the Patriot Act. They're okay with putting people in jail and fining them up to $250,000 if they go and criticize Israel. No. You guys, you people on the right are the ones who are for big government. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, people on the left may favor big government on some economic things. But y'all favor your own version of big government. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't be a hypocrite.
Let capitalism function properly.
Fuck capitalism. Fuck capitalism.
Green climate agenda is extreme.
There's no green climate agenda. We need a green climate agenda. The problem is we don't have a green climate agenda.
You want to talk about extremism, they're shoving it down our throats. So when he stands up there, the hypocrisy in these statements is absolutely unbelievable.
Doesn't it sound like stock in a can? Ultra MAGA, wouldn't you have that at a barbecue, right? It just sounds so forced, right? The language you got to use when you're trying to talk to people is the language you would use if you're at a happy hour. And there's not one person that's at any bar in New York, Washington, or anywhere else is saying, what do you think about the Ultra MAGAs and what they're doing to the country right now? It's
Oh, okay. Well, Ultra MAGA is such a terrible word. And many of those Ultra MAGAs and right wingers, they think that anybody who's not a Republican, they think that Democrats, they think that leftists and Democrats all combined. They think they're all one and the same. They think they're all a bunch of baby killing, pedophile Satanists. And don't act like you're reasonable when you get to hear this kind of stuff. When people make up stuff like Hillary Clinton, the conspiracy theories I hear about. I hate Hillary Clinton, but it's not true what they said about her doing some kidnapping children and killing them and chopping off the face of the mask. Cutting off the face and wearing it in a mask in some satanic ceremony. That's not true. If they said about Marjorie Taylor Greene, I wouldn't think that's true either. It takes a sick mind to think of these things. But then again, we're talking about the right-wing mindset. But anyway.
It's nothing natural about it.
It's really bad political marketing. Doctor, I want to play for you the comments of the governor of the state we're sitting in. She had some words. Apparently she wants people to leave the state.
Fighting to bring government back to the people and out of the hands of dictators. And we're here to say that the era of Trump and Zeldin and Molinaro, just jump on a bus and head down to Florida where you belong. You don't represent our values. You are not New Yorkers.
Wow.
Unbelievable. These are not the words of a leader. I am stunned, I'm shocked, and I feel insulted as a New Yorker. Not only is this negative rhetoric horrible for Republicans, but also to independents like myself and to Americans.
You're not a fucking independent. Shut the fuck up. You're paid to sit there and suck cock for Fox News. Fat bitch.
Speak like this, and I have a news for you. Guess what? They're already leaving. We have 350,000 New Yorkers already left to Florida. That's why they call it the Sunshine State, and it's because of high crime rates, incessant, uncontrollable crime in New York. We have the highest combined taxes in the entire.
Oh, you're gonna do red states are better than blue state bullshit. Let me tell you, how's it working out in Mississippi with shit coming out of the faucets for water? Because people in red states, you go to some of these rural red states that can't handle shit right with these Republican governors and Republican legislatures. They don't believe in regulation. They don't believe in public services. They believe in letting everything just go to shit. So I'm not saying everything is perfect in a blue state, but the quality of life is shit in a lot of red states, especially when you don't have union jobs available and things of that nature. So yes, I mean, do I think that some aspects of California is overly woke? Yes, I do. I do. But do I think that people like Ron DeSantis, who wants to do things like the Stop Woke Act, which is basically a reverse right-wing version of woke? The man wants to go and put in curriculums, and indoctrinate students with right-wing politics, and basically ban books and tell teachers that they can't even say the word gay, and shut down the municipality of Disney, which I don't have a problem with you shutting down the municipality of Disney, but he did it for the wrong reasons. It was based on revenge politics. Y'all got it wrong. Got it ass backwards.
Entire nation, city, and local taxes, it's just ridiculously high. They want to increase it. And then you look, we're always the epicenter of disease here in New York, whether it's COVID, whether it's monkeypox, whether it's Ebola or flu. It's always here, and we're always unprepared because of poor leadership. So I really think we need to...
I've been to New York a few times, and I mean, I never had any problems in New York, except for getting lost. But no, my experience, my limited experience in New York's actually been quite positive. Thank you very much.
To focus on what's going on, at the foundation in your office as governor versus kicking us out. I mean, we're hardworking New Yorkers. We help pay our taxes and help keep things going, and yet you want to get rid of us. That's not right.
And Kaylee, can you imagine if a Republican governor said that to her constituents? Leave.
I've heard people in red states telling people who are of a quote unquote blue mindset to get out of their red state. I've heard Charlie Kirk tell people don't move to Montana. So don't try that shit on me.
leave, get out of the state. I mean, people would be up in arms. It would be outrage, but she's allowed to say it because she's Kathy Hochul and she's on the blue side of things.
It's true. And Tommy, like when you look at this in aggregate, Charlie Crist, insulting Floridians who he needs their vote. Then you had Stacey Abrams doing the same, saying Georgia's the worst state in the country on several metrics. It would be so easy if you were a Democrat just to be a uniter. The president, if he would have followed his words on Inauguration Day, I think he'd still be underwater.
The problem with the Democrats is that they do try to unite with the Republicans, way more than Republicans try to unite with the Democrats. That's the problem. The Democrats actually try to be, actually try to work with Republicans. And usually what the Republicans do is they accept the help of the Democrats and then spit in their face. That's usually the way it goes. Shut up.
Water because of his policies. He might be a few points higher in the polls if he just calmed the waters a little bit instead of stirred them.
He's plenty calm. He's comatose. But again, I wonder, Gavin Newsom also is begging Floridians to come to California. So I wonder what he thinks about all these people saying, go to Florida. Again, this is a big target on the back of Ron DeSantis because they are terrified of DeSantis 2024. So they all.
Ron DeSantis versus Gavin Newsom. They both suck in profound ways. But if I have to choose between Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis, the one saving grace for Gavin Newsom, other than not being Ron DeSantis, is that he's actually done something about the cost of insulin in California. He's actually had the government of California take over the manufacturing of insulin to actually make it available at cost to people because it is so fucking expensive. It's not Medicare for all, but it is a start. And it's something that I know that Ron DeSantis would never do in a million years. So in that regard, give me Governor Gavin Newsom any day over Ron DeSantis.
They always got a dog on Florida one way or another. Not going to work.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Compa.
My gosh. Okay. All right. I just had to get that out of my system, folks. I had to get it out of my system. These people make me so angry. I just hate hypocrisy. I hate it because the narrative always go into their direction, and we have a gullible American public. Our American Republic, the public in America are like sheep, and they will fall for anything. I've seen it way too many times. From the first time I've ever voted in the 1988 election, they believed those Willie Horton ads, and it's been one big Willie Horton ad from 1988 to today from these damn Republicans. And it may not be Willie Horton himself, but it's a new variation of it, and they end up believing it. They end up believing the bullshit. Okay, on the chat line here we have Dirtbag-Left, but Dave Rubin says that he's never met a conservative that is rude. Yeah, I remember that. And here's the thing. 90% of the conservatives I've ever encountered in my life has been rude. I mean, been extremely rude. Back, very hateful. There are some conservatives I can talk to, and they're okay. There's a couple of conservatives I can talk to online. They're okay to talk to. I don't have a beef with people that are civil. I mean, there are exceptions, but the majority of them that I have dealt with have been very, very negative, and they bring out the worst in me. Let's see here. We have, honestly, I felt like George W. Bush saying that he was a compassionate conservative. It made me feel all right to vote for the Natural Law Party. Well, yeah, I remember the Natural Law Party. Good Lord, that brings back memories. Yeah, I remember hearing about them in the early 90s. Let's see. Ultra maggots, more like it. Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that everybody who voted for Donald Trump is an asshole. I mean, I'm not saying that. But there's a lot. There's a lot of obnoxious people out there that would actually harm people who disagree with them. I remember in 2016, I remember seeing memes online of people falling off helicopters. You know, the whole Chilean thing, that was the method of execution for left-wing prisoners under Pinochet in Chile. And they were celebrating this shit on memes, the alt-right. And these people were predominantly Donald Trump supporters. And I was like, this is really disturbing shit, you know. Willie. Oh yeah, Propaganda Live. How are you today? Let's see. Geo Bush. Let's see here. That man is trashy Bucka. Oh yeah, George W. Bush is bad news. I'm up in the mountains in of northern New York right now. This is Trump country up here. Yeah, and that's the thing about it is that that in certain areas, even in some blue states, you do have red areas, and vice versa. I live in North Carolina. I'll tell you where I live. I live just outside of Raleigh. I live in Wake County. I mean Johnson County. Raleigh's in Wake County. I live in Raleigh. I mean Johnson County. And Johnson County is one of the most red areas of North Carolina. It's deeply Republican, deeply right wing around here. And there I am, the lonely Bernie Sanders supporter, all that, and all. But you go to places. I mean, you go to places like Wake County's moderately liberal. You go to Chapel Hill, it gets to be very, very progressive. Go to Asheville, very, very progressive. Wilmington, very, very progressive. But sort of everything in between is a lot of red or very pale blue. Pale blue as in vote blue no matter who, corporate, Democrat, stand for nothing blue. So that's pretty much what it is around here. So North Carolina is basically a purple state leaning red. And I think that's where we're going to be for a while. So it'd be nice if some of these blue states and red states can actually consider turning green, or if they're going to turn red, vote for some kind of a socialist party on the ballot. I guess that's just too much to ask for. So, oh well. Anyway, I just needed to get that out of my chest. So if you like what you heard, press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree. We'll have a conversation. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Yes, and follow me here on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and even though I'm not doing anything yet on Rumble, because I'm figuring it out. I know y'all tired of hearing me say that. Follow me there too, and hopefully we will. You'll see me here again at some point, maybe a little bit later on this evening. Until the next time, I will conclude by saying to you all, music. Take care, and happy Labor Day.